And if you managed to pass that test successfully, congratulations, you're now an Amazon employee. And once I found out, I started noticing that in the beginning of every shift, there was this proper battle royale happening. And then I got this little warning in my record that I was not doing the job perfectly. And the most interesting thing, how much did we get paid? Hello Internet! This is Irina, the Siberian who's gone international. Today I'm gonna tell you about what it's like to be an employee at the Amazon factory. I've enjoyed that unforgettable experience for a month because I needed to earn some money for my student Euro trip. So if you're curious to find out what happens to your Amazon order before it gets delivered to your door, then stay with me and I'll tell you everything. I have to say that before I came to the UK, I've never heard about Amazon. So yeah, it was quite a few years ago. I don't think it's possible to find anyone nowadays who's never heard anything about Amazon. When I was doing my first year of uni, my university decided to arrange this Euro trip for us students, and I needed to earn some extra money for it. I needed about 300 or 400 pounds to pay for it, so I decided to find some side job to make that money. At that time I had a friend who had a super rich experience of doing all kinds of part-time jobs in the UK, and she was the one who invited me to join her at Amazon because it was the time before Christmas, and that's when the amount of orders that Amazon has to process doubles or even triples. So they hire a lot of temps like me so they could have the factory running 24/7, making sure that you will get your Christmas present delivery on time. Factory workers like me were not hired directly by Amazon, but it was happening through the agency. So in order to get the job, you needed to come to the agency. They would have a short interview with you. Then we needed to pass a urine drug test, which was quite a problem for quite a few people, but I passed it. And then we got to go to the Amazon itself, watch the short presentation about how it was founded, what are we gonna be doing if we get accepted. Then they gave us a pretty simple math test with pretty basic problems, and if you managed to pass that test successfully, congratulations, you're now an Amazon employee. Once you pass that test, a very special moment comes, because that's when they put on a sorting hat on your head and it tells you your destiny, whether you are born to be a picker or a packer. Well, everything happened the way I told you, except the sorting hat part. In reality, some random dude tells you whether you're gonna be a picker or a packer. I got into the packers team and my friend was a picker. The pickers are the guys who walk along the shelves in the warehouse, picking up the items that people have ordered and organizing them into orders. Then some magic happens. To be honest, I've never seen how exactly do the orders get transferred from the area where pickers operate to the lines of packers where I was standing. But somehow they get there. I was really jealous of my friend's job because she got to combine making money with working out. The pickers walk many kilometers per shift, so now when I was interviewing her a bit about her Amazon experience, she said that she even misses it a bit because it was really easy to lose weight this way. But I was a packer. The job of a packer consisted of picking up the order from the shelf behind you, putting it in front of you, scanning the order, then making some in-depth analysis whether this order needs to be packed into the small box, into the medium box, or into the large box. I hated the large ones because they consisted of 2 pieces and it was taking forever to build a box like that. So keep in mind that if you receive a large box from Amazon, there was a moment a few days ago when some poor packer at the Amazon was really disappointed when he understood that he will have to use the larger box. Once you've selected the best box, put all the items inside, scan the orders, attach the label with the address on top, you just put it in front of you on the conveyor belt, which is running in front of you non-stop, taking the boxes to the expecting customers. Though, somewhere in the end of the conveyor, there is a guy who checks whether the boxes are packed beautifully enough. And I remember that once something was not fitting into the medium-sized box and I just like stuffed it in it and wrapped it all with a lot of tape, and then the guy brought me this ball which I made and kind of told me off for that, and I had to repack it. And then I got this little warning in my record that I was not doing the job perfectly. I think if you get a certain number of those warnings, they probably might fire you, but I don't know, I never made it that far. I've been there only for a month, so I did not have enough time to collect enough warnings. For the first week, I loved the job. It was fun. It was fun to see what people are ordering, where the orders are going, discussing it with my other friend friend who was always standing next to me. It was fun. Once I remember I got to ship the chemistry book to my hometown in Finland. It was rather entertaining for me because there was not that many orders coming from Finland, let alone from my hometown. And once I got to ship like 15 porn DVDs to Germany, which for me was hilarious. I don't know, I think this stereotype only exists in Russia, but somehow there is association between Germany and porn industry. Do you have that stereotype in your countries? Because I don't think other countries have that. I don't know how did it get born in Russia, but whenever I ask my international friends about this stereotype, that sounds totally foreign to them. Let me know how it is in your country. Do you make jokes that Germany makes a lot of porn movies? So the first week was fun, but then the second week arrived and they have introduced the targets. And the target for a packer was to pack 200 items an hour, which is not a big deal if you get orders which contain 20 items per order. Then you just need to pack 10 orders in an hour and you're fine. But the problem is, quite often you get just 2 items per order. And imagine how many packages you need to ship in order to reach your target if you're constantly getting 2 items per order. Also, around my third week there, I found out that not all packer spots are equally good. We had like 10 spots per line, and turned out that certain spots had a higher probability of getting orders which contain more items. And of course, everyone who was working there for a long time already knew about it. And once I found out, I started noticing that in the beginning of every shift there was this proper battle royale happening, because people were almost fighting for these good spots. And eventually I started trying to get one of those good spots too. And those good spots, usually they're not next to each other. So instead of standing next to my friend, I was standing next to some random people making awkward conversations in order not to die of boredom there. Because for 8 hours straight you were supposed to just pack, you were not allowed to listen to any music because they were not allowing us to bring in any electronics like players or phones. I guess it's because it was difficult for them to understand whether it's really yours or whether you stole it from some order. So there was no entertainment available. Oh yeah, and from time to time when we were exiting the factory, they were performing these random searches in order to make sure that we didn't steal anything. And that did not feel nice, I have to tell you. We also had 2 breaks per shift. I've asked my friend who's been working there, and none of us is quite sure, but it looks like we had 2 breaks. One is the longer one when you could have some food, and one is the shorter one when you could go to the bathroom, maybe drink some tea or have a small snack. And we think that it was something like 30 minutes plus 15 minutes or 30 minutes plus 20 minutes. But I will not guarantee that. But as I said, the biggest problem with those breaks were that they were significantly cut by those lines, because you needed to clock in and clock out, and they were actually really strict about that. And the most interesting thing, how much did we get paid? Again, I'm gonna tell you approximately because it was many years ago, but if I remember correctly, for the day shift they were paying approximately £6 an hour, for a night shift approximately 7 hours an hour, and for overtime 1.5 times more, so approximately £11 an hour. For the whole month I was doing night shifts, which was quite an experience given that during the day I had to be at uni. So it was quite hard, but given that I was only doing it for a month, it was doable. I did earn enough money to go to that Euro trip. Combining it with university was a bit challenging because I would come back at 8 AM and then at 10 AM I would have a lecture, but somehow I managed. I remember I was taking naps before my night shift. So I don't know, let me know what do you think about that kind of working conditions. For me, for a month it was quite interesting. Honestly, I don't remember it being anything super horrible. I would even like to try it again, but as a picker, but again only for a short period of time. But I've seen people there who have been doing it for a decade. I've seen people there who were combining this job with another job. Like once I was standing next to this elderly guy, very cute one. He was working at the Amazon at night and working as a cab driver during the day. I think for people who stay there for that long, the conditions should be a bit more humane. I think they should be allowed to listen to their own music or to some audiobooks while they work. I don't think it's fair that a few minutes are stolen from your break daily while you're waiting in those lines to clock in and clock out. So definitely there is some room for improvement. improvement. But as I said in my video about the things which I love about the UK, I'm really grateful that there is at least some kind of job that you can always get if you need one. Tell me in the comments if you've ever worked in a similar type of job or if you'd like to try that, and let me give you a very useful advice. Do you know what is a really great way to spend 2 seconds and earn some good karma? Clicking the like button, because it helps me and doesn't cost you anything, so why not do that? Okay, thanks for watching, and if you will subscribe to this channel, I will see you in my next video. Bye!